This is
Yes.
third round back. Guys that we're taking shots on. First up, Michael Wilson, wide receiver, Arizona Cardinals. Why do you like him, Thomas? Why?
Do you remember this former Arizona Cardinal called Michael Floyd? It was pretty good for fantasy, right?
Yeah, he's a former Fighting Irish.
Michael Wilson reminds me a lot of him. He's just this big dude who's gonna win downfield, and I just think like yes, Hopkins. There are rumors that Hopkins is gonna stay there, but I don't really think Michael Wilson was drafted for this season anyway. He could even be someone like Caleb Williams next season is gonna throw passes to. What do we know, man? Anyway.
Arizona is also one of those question marks at the bottom of my power ranking.
Exactly. They're like in that back, like 3 worst teams, for sure. He's just a big dude, and I love big guys at wide receiver. It's like with your love for Jonathan Mingo. For me, it's just Michael Wilson. And like I think I got him at the back end of the third, and I just want to take him there every single day because he's like big wide receivers just have so much more going for them than all these small wide receivers. Like big wide receivers can win in so many different ways just because of their size and speed. And Wilson has both in spades, so I love him.
Okay, first I want to hit on this size point at wide receiver because I think both of us have this issue, and it's something that we really need to pay attention to. But the NFL is changing, and
sure.
Not only are wide receivers getting smaller, but guys at other positions are getting smaller and faster as well. So, we're going to have to keep an eye on if this is relative or not, and if the size, because of everybody else getting smaller and faster, is just a relative thing, right? Just the entire league getting smaller and faster. So I do think that's one thing that we do need to pay attention to because you and I both say a lot of the same stuff when it comes to the size of these players. So that could kind of bite us in the ass if we don't just keep an eye on this. I do want to make that point, but I do agree with you. They do need a receiver there. The AJ Green experiment had some flashes, but didn't really work. What is Rondell Moore? What is Greg Dortch? And then how long is Hopkins going to be there? Lots of questions. I do like that they addressed their offensive line to get Kyler some help there. So I still haven't done a lot of work on Michael Wilson. We talked about this right before the draft. I wasn't the most familiar with him, so I can't really speak to that. But there are targets to be had in an offense that we are going to learn about fairly quickly when this season starts. But they're also going to be without Murray. So what are we going to see there? It may take a little while, like you said, but
for sure.
We'll see that. Next one up, I had Sean Tucker. We already talked about him quite a bit at the beginning. I just think the talent again was there to be a third rounder in the NFL. It's just that health concern. So I'm willing to take shots on him with a lot of the other guys that I don't think are that talented. We just got to see if Tucker's health's going to be there, and he can make an impact on a Buccaneers team. Do you have anything else that you want to add to him? Because we already talked about him as well.
No, I think it's a fine landing spot for him, and he has a skill set that reminds me a lot of Rachaad White, honestly. So he might just turn out to be a better version of Rachaad White. We just don't know.
I agree. Next up is another guy that both of us have talked about at length, and this was kind of what we wanted to happen, right? We kind of we didn't want him to get the premium stuff and get the rise because he's a 5-star recruit, a guy that has all the talent, and he goes to a situation in New England where you either buy in or you're gone.
Exactly.
Could be an eye-opener for Kayshon Boutte, wide receiver. You like taking shots on him later in drafts. You already know I did because I was talking about it, hoping this would happen so that we could get some cheap shots on a guy with a lot of upside that just needs to figure it out above the shoulders. What are your thoughts there on Kayshon Boutte?
I mean, we've seen him be extremely productive at the college level, and he's just a playmaker. Like, you just get the ball in his hands, and he's just gonna get you yards, make plays for you. And obviously, he's not gonna be like a Jamar Chase, but like in the third round, like if he hits his upside, which is like the 5-star recruit that he was, he's gonna way outperform that value anyway. And then even if you don't like truly love the New England landing spot, you're just gonna be able to flip him for a lot more than what you drafted him for. So it's like it's one of these, like, in the third round, especially in this draft, like it's super inexpensive. So you like just take the guy. If he doesn't amount to anything, if he doesn't even make it through roster cuts at New England, like, you just take the L and you just move on because you didn't really lose anything. But if he hits the upside, like, you're golden, and he could just be someone who's great for you.
Our resident Patriots fan says, "Good luck trying to beat out Tyquan Thornton and Kendrick Bourne." Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing with that landing spot. Even if you don't love the New England landing spot, like the competition for him there, like, he could come out as the alpha in that wide receiver room, because what else is there? Now, does that translate into a bunch of fantasy points being on New England? Who knows? You never know. Last year we thought it was for sure Mac Jones is their guy, and then midway through the season we're going, oh, is it Bailey Zappi? So who knows? It is a question mark, but like you said, like, you're gonna miss on most third rounders anyway. Yeah. Like, you're not gonna be finding diamonds in the rough in the third and later at a consistently good pace. Like, it's just not the way these work.
It's gonna be like 1 in 50.
Yeah, it's very, very poor, which is why I like to take shots on quarterbacks that have some upside in superflex drafts. And Jaron Hall is one. Vikings have been looking for that guy to take over for Cousins when he is done there. And Jaren Hall was their pick this year. It's not necessarily a player that, like, excites me a ton, but when we look at the other guys in this range that he's going to go in rookie drafts, I'm willing to take some shots. And if it works out, great. I did the same thing with Kellen Mond, and it didn't hurt me that it didn't work out, right? Like, it didn't ruin my roster. But if it would have worked out, then great. And I get a quarterback cheaper than you're ever going to. Like Brock Purdy, right? Stashed him on some taxis last year just because I didn't know if Lance could stay healthy. And it worked out. But again, we're going to miss on this guy more than we're going to find him at this part of the rookie drafts. But I'll take some shots on I love taking just shots on random quarterbacks late, but he's one of the ones that I really like in this draft. I like the situation he's in because I don't think he's going to have to wait Jordan Love time to get on the field and an opportunity, or we're just going to know, like Kellen Mond, that he's not the guy and he's not going to get the opportunity, soon enough. So that's my quarterback here. What do you think about Jaren Hall, Vikings?
I mean, as you said, I really like the landing spot because there might be opportunity in the not so distant future, and that's kind of what you really want from these guys that you take, especially at the quarterback position. Like, you can smash them into your taxi squad, and then basically a year from now, you're probably gonna know, like, is this guy worth keeping on my taxi squad for another year, or do I just get rid of him and put someone else on my taxi squad? So he's gonna be like part of that taxi squad carousel for a lot of guys. And honestly, it's whatever quarterback you like, you just take them there and then stash them and see in a year, like, do I keep this guy around or do I just throw him out the window? So I like, on the player himself, I'm not in love with him, but I believe he has the legs to sort of be, maybe not a Konamiko, but he could get you some yards with his legs too. And then if he develops as a passer, he could definitely be something.
Next up on the list is Zach Evans, running back, Los Angeles Rams. Tell me why you like Zach Evans, 6th round draft pick 38 in round 6, which means that he was probably a compensatory pick there in the 6th round. Just 3 picks behind Deuce Vaughn to the Cowboys. What is it about Zach Evans that has you wanting to take shots?
It's the landing spot. Like we've already seen the Rams sour on Cam Akers. So who knows if he's gonna stay as the lead back? Like he's obviously gonna go in as a starter, but like he might just find himself in the doghouse for some reason or another again. And then there's like Williams is the other guy on the team, and we already know like Williams' metrics were terrible. And Zach Evans comes in as this former 5-star running back recruit who is just only behind Bijan in his recruiting class. And obviously, Evans has sort of had a rough go at it because he was chased out of TCU by the guy that we both love. But again, it's like it's these super inexpensive picks, and you just want to hit like if you just hit one guy, and I think Evans could be that because of the situation that he finds himself in. Akers might not be there for a long time, and Williams is not something I see as more than a third down guy for them. So it's just worth taking the upside for me.
Would you rather take shots on Sean Tucker or Zach Evans?
I think Zach Evans purely because like he's probably gonna get opportunities. We don't know if Tucker is ever gonna be able to actually get opportunities. So because of the medical, I'm just gonna go with Zach Evans. But for me, like if you like either guy, like just go get your guy.
I've never been big on Evans. I don't think he, filled out the whole pedigree thing that we had thought. Like you said, got chased out by a much less touted Kendre Miller there in TCU and moved and then falls to the late 6th round of the NFL draft. Doesn't mean that he can't. I do like Cam Akers' talent. Cam Akers, when he got out of the doghouse last year, kind of reminded me of now I'm drawing a blank. Brandon Ayuk there in San Francisco had that early blip and then has played great football since he got out of the doghouse. So I would rather take Sean Tucker just because I think the skill's better, and it's just the it sounds so weird. It's just the heart issue. It's a big issue, but it's not diminishing his skill. If they deem him healthy enough to play, then that's good for Sean Tucker. But I'm not super excited about Evans. I probably will have some just because you're right. It's late. If you get him late enough, there is a value for a player like that in those rounds. Next up, because we only got a couple minutes, Tyler Scott, wide receiver, Bears. A guy that was moving up boards before the NFL draft goes to a wide receiver core that at first looks crowded, but who knows if Claypool or Mooney are going to be there next year. This is a guy that has top end speed, can do a lot of things, admits that he needs work in route running because he was converted from a running back to a wide receiver relatively not too long ago. So the talent is there. The after the catch is really exciting with Tyler Scott. If he can learn the route running and clean up some of the drops, I think he had an 11% drop rate. But again, newish to the position, has a lot of upside. And who knows where he stands on this depth chart a year from now. With maybe he's good enough that he runs Mooney out of town. Maybe Mooney and Claypool just choose free agency and don't come back, and Scott's in a position to be the wide receiver too. There's a lot of options there with Tyler Scott. I like him. I liked him before he was rising, but I want to take shots in the 3rd+ rounds on Tyler Scott. What about you?
Yeah, I can agree with that. And he's a speed guy, right? It's like he can make it happen in multiple ways. He could, and especially because he's a former running back. Like you can just dunk him the screen, and then he might just house it. Like if he gets good blocks. So he's gonna be one of those efficiency guys where you're probably never gonna see him get 6 or 7 touches or targets, a game. unless he becomes that Tariq Cohen sort of weapon for them. But even so, like he might be fine just having those 4 to 5 targets per game and just catching a big one for you, and like taking shots at him even in normals or in standard drafts is fine. In best ball, it's even better for me. He's like one of those guys you just want, like in every single best ball rookie draft, you just want to take this guy because he might just be that one play guy that like 160 yarder and boom, 12 points.
I do not disagree with that at all. Okay, we've got 2 more guys you have on this list. We're going to go through these guys quick. Stetson Bennett, quarterback, Los Angeles Rams. You laughed at yourself there. You're like, oh shit, I put this guy on the list.
No, it was just because I looked at the guy who was at the very end, and my love for that dude. But Stetson Bennett, it's like with Jaron Hall, like the same for me that Jaron Hall is for you basically. And Stetson Bennett just shown that he's a winner. So landing with the Rams, who like we don't know how long Stafford's gonna be there, and Stetson Bennett's a winner. He's proven that he's come from being a walk-on at Georgia to a 2-time national champion, and it's just like that type of dog personality. I just kind of want that later on because there is a chance that he just becomes a starter at some point, or even just a serviceable backup, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that Stetson's going to be the guy that I take the shots on at quarterback. There are a couple other guys that I prefer, but I can get, I get it. There is a big part of being a professional and winning and that getting you an opportunity. But we've also seen lots of quarterbacks that won in college that did not pan out in the NFL. But, good story, good coach. How long's he going to be there? That dude, there's rumors every offseason he could retire and go to the booth and get a huge contract to be an announcer, right? So who knows how long he's going to be there. Stafford, Kupp's getting up there in age. It would be fun to see Stetson Bennett trying to throw to Cooper Kupp, though. But next up on your list is Evan Hall, running back, Indianapolis Colts. I know you love him. I get that he ran every run at the combine to the end zone, but the guy goes to a backfield with my running back 1 in Dynasty, Jonathan Taylor.
I agree with that, by the way. I agree.
I do want to say that and get that out of the way. Bijan's not there yet. I need to see it in the pros. Jonathan Taylor, monster. But Evan Hall, running back, you want to take shots on him. I'll probably be taking shots on him too. But you do like him way more than me.
For me, it's more of an honorable mention just because it's a rookie show and I just have to get Evan Hall in there.
You just got to get Evan Hall in there. I like it. I like it.
Just got to probe up my guy. That's where we're at with this guy. It is a bit concerning for me that Richardson is going to be their quarterback because Hall was going to live off of pass catching, and Richardson is likely to at least keep some of those check downs that Hall could have gotten. But I just think Steichen just wants weapons in this offense, and I think that's why they drafted Evan Hall. So I think he's going to get an opportunity. So I just want to take him at some point, like in the third or later, really. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. It's gonna be, for him. It's gonna depend on where other players fall that are in his range at that time. Who else is on the board? But I'll take some shots there.